everybody, and welcome to the Art of a Meaningful Life podcast. I'm Carmen Davailus. I'm your host of this podcast, which is evolving into something really, really amazing, and I'm thrilled about that. Today, my guest is Lynnae Velasquez, and Renee is an energetic transformational coach, and she works with people like me. I accomplished women, we have a lot on our plates. We're handling a lot and feel like something's just not quite right. Just not quite right. And I am so excited to have you. Welcome, Lynnae.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited about today because I think some of that is the acknowledgement something's just not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine a day that I haven't felt that. Like sometimes it's a little bit, but mostly it's like I feel like in alignment and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then other
Yeah,
days I'm like, what the heck? I
it's
just,
going on. Yeah.
what's
Yeah. From a marketing weird standpoint, when I posted for women who feel like something's off, it's very vague, but yet we all identify with it because I think we can't put our finger on it,
Mhm.
but it's there.
Yeah.
So, when I said that, it's like, but it is. There's something, even though we're doing everything right, the way we're supposed to, everything we've been taught, everything we've learned, something is still off. And that's what we can talk about. We've just changed and we haven't acknowledged it.
Mm-hmm. And I applaud you for bringing that up because for entrepreneurs and most women in general, we are more guided to present everything's fine.
Mhm,
How are you? I'm fine. I'm
mhm,
fine. How's your
mhm.
business? It's fine.
Right. And there's acronyms for that fine, but I won't say what they are. Fine.
And
Yeah. And
yeah.
it is fine. It is fine. For a lot of us, it is fine. It's functioning, it's working,
Mhm,
until it's not working anymore.
mhm,
And are we courageous enough to explore what it is that's really not working anymore?
mhm.
And that takes courage to break that down and go, I want a new reality. I want more. I want something new. And I have to be willing to let go of what's not working. And am I willing to know what's not working?
Yeah. All right. So that means at some point you had to have a big awakening that this is not working because it's like
Yeah.
we go through it in order to serve others that we see women
Yeah.
going through it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I love asking this question of my guests, so when you hear the phrase a meaningful life,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean to you in this season of your life and even
Mm-hmm.
as related to other seasons?
Right. I did get to see that question ahead of time. So
Uh-huh.
I got to sit on it for like 10 minutes before the call. And I just turned 60. I don't feel 60, but the number 60. And so when I go back of what does meaningful life mean to me now in this season, part of the work is not going back to what I thought it was supposed to be or should have been, pulling up the past. Like that's where I wanted to go, but I know to like today, right this moment,
Yeah.
what is a meaningful life for me in this season? And what comes up for me is if this season is receiving.
Hmm.
I work with women for a living and I have for decades.
Mm.
And so my growth, like you said, name of my company is called Growth Junkie Coaching. I'm addicted to my personal growth.
One of the things I love to ask what a meaningful life means to you now at this season of your life and with or without comparison to previous
Yeah,
seasons changed.
it does. Yeah. And a meaningful life to me in this season has been about receiving, but it goes much deeper than that, but receiving. And that comes with, turning 60 and what it used to what it is today, as the woman that I am today, the seasons I'm going through, the things that are, how can I have more ease with receiving life,
Hmm.
being with life, showing up with life, receiving the gifts of life. I have not done receiving easily in my life. Pusher, shover, grinder. I came from the generation of us, of women, I mean, of working with women for 3 decades now, that we came out of seasons of push, shove, struggle, make it work, make it work, make it work. Struggle, the whole cycle.
Yeah.
And that is not the meaning of life for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that took a lot of work to undo all of those belief systems and patterns.
It's so interesting because I've realized myself that I'm really wonderful at serving,
Mhm.
but it is difficult to receive.
Yeah.
More difficult. It's a different kind of vulnerability. And yet when we don't receive well, we're not accepting the gift that others have to give us. Like
Mhm.
we're great at giving gifts, right?
Yeah.
But if someone compliments or all the things, all the ways in which life gives us without receiving it, we're like turning away gifts and
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
no. And
Yeah. And it goes so much deeper. I mean, the conversation today is also about kind of what I do as work, right?
mhm,
Just to incorporate, because what I do is what I am.
uh-huh.
So it's
Of
kind of how
course.
it's how I speak. So, a lot of women come to do work with me about money, lack of money, survival of money. And they're always a little upset when I say it has nothing to do with money. Money's never about money. It's this, and that's just, it's the subconscious, it's the nervous system, it's what we believe in, it's the programming, it's generations. And when we do the work, which is what I keep doing for myself, to have this place of like just ease with life, because I didn't know that was possible. I really didn't until I continued to go like, wow, this, I could actually have some ease in my life.
Ease in life. Give me like a real life.
What does that look like? Yeah, for me, for
Uh-huh.
sure. My history, without going into it completely, but it's part of my belief that things weren't easy, is I am a woman of recovery. I've been clean and sober and healed from an eating disorder for 36 years. I've been in recovery.
Mhm.
So that's 36 years of transformational work. Okay. And for years, probably up until the last 15 years, and I'm 60, it's been struggle.
Mhm.
It's been hard. I also know that I create what I create to experience what I experience. So I've never been a victim, if that's the word I want to use, of what's happened to me. Be different, until about 15 years ago when I made another pivot. I've made a lot of really humongous pivots, which, I did. And one of them was a conscious decision that I cannot live in struggle and survival anymore.
Mm. So
And mhm.
are you saying and you can explain this, how did you create the situation in order, was you like you created a situation so you could fix it?
It's all an unconscious thing we do. So
Yeah.
remember, I speak energy, I
Mhm.
speak conscious. It's just how I be. So I used to have like this belief system. Again, I didn't know it was a belief system, like the Wonder Woman syndrome. I would create
Uh-huh.
monumentous things of like, without cussing and going through it, because there's a little part of me that has that little sailor mouth, but I won't do it, of creating crap so
Mhm.
that I could overcome it,
Mm.
which would make me feel good. And then I would judge myself. And so it was this cycle: make it hard, work hard, struggle, complete it, then judge myself. It's really deep what I'm saying,
Yeah. So
but are you getting it? And
judge yourself harshly then to turn
deeply,
around?
yeah, internally. I think that's one of the main things I have always worked on myself and with clients is this underlining a meaningful life to me today is not to live in the judgment cycle internally that ran my whole being. I used judgment to create my world.
This is so interesting, Lynnae, and I don't think I've had a conversation with anyone on the program who has talked about this, but I think it's something we all do, right? I mean, we have choices, and so to make a choice that somewhere we know is not going to be good for us, and that unconsciously not realizing we're really trying to set up the situation like to prove to ourselves or to others, but
All of
probably
the
more to
above.
ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I can do it. I'm strong. I can do this. I can come out of it. You're
And
talking
it,
about the judgment there.
yeah,
All through all that, there's
all
judgment,
through it.
right?
Yeah. And it's weird because what I am describing in my journey right now of a meaningful life, I chose to do all this work to get to where this depth of a meaningful life is for me, to live in a world
Yes.
with no judgment for myself. And, that's a vulnerable thing. I'm totally vulnerable. I'm open with that. But when women really get honest, if they're in that path of how much judgment they do on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
it's an internal loop through our nervous system, through the energetics of who we are. It becomes our personality. When am I going to stop judging myself to create and have more?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of this like place of just creating. I like to create. I'm a mass creator, a mover. I'm always changing, always creating and asking for more. But now it's from a different space
Mm-hmm.
than the energy that I used to show up in. I didn't know there was another way until I knew there was another way. And so a lot of the women that I work with, that is an underlining core. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that. There's a saying that I say that the number one addiction is judgment.
I had
Yeah.
a thought the other day, and recently, the last couple years, that there was someone in my life who was particularly judgmental, right? And I would hear that voice in my head, like, oh my gosh, who do you think you are? And why would you do that? And then I realized this is my own voice now, that took
Well,
over that.
yes.
And I'm like, wait a second. I don't, why am
Right.
I wouldn't talk to anybody else that way.
Exactly.
Where did
Exactly.
those thoughts come from? And I didn't even realize they were
Yeah.
that those thoughts were coming into my head or the
Yeah.
feelings or the judgment until I took the time and effort to be very present with myself,
Exactly.
very
Eh,
present with which I hadn't done for a really long time. And I
Yeah.
wasn't quite sure how, even although I tried. And
hmm
then it's like this epiphany. I'm like, there's nobody here to blame or to say that's just how it was.
And we could go spin
That can
off on
change,
that.
right?
Yeah. Because there's so much in what you said, but that is also trying to keep myself coming back to the meaningful life for me is the journey of the work I've been on and the women is when it comes to energetics in the nervous system, the more that I learn about 95% of our thoughts and feelings and emotions don't belong to us. So sometimes when you let that settle in for a moment and then go
95% of our feelings and
thoughts,
thoughts of our
because that's
thoughts.
that's input from the nervous system, from what we grew up in, the voice, all of that.
Uh-huh.
Just trying to take it on a little basic level here, especially when it comes to energy awareness and consciousness. It's like the meaningful life for me today is that I am totally aware of what it is that I'm choosing, not this.
Oh, that's a big thing, Lynnae.
But all
The
we live
stories we've told ourselves.
and they're everybody else's stories and they're everybody else's thoughts. And I am a deep, deep empath. I'm deeply intuitive,
Mhm.
born, trained. And now I teach that to other empaths and women who are sensitive to go, wait a minute, what is a meaningful life for me, not based on what my perceived projections are.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I hope we're not going like too deep, but trying to get the basis of like, wow, whose meaningful life am I living? Is it mine or somebody else's?
Yes. No, I think this is a really important conversation, and even part of my journey to creating the podcast and my search for a meaningful life, that it's uniquely mine, and recognizing we all have our own unique as well, but there's just so much tangled up in that. I say this, and I've said it many times, I don't think it was until my mid almost 60 myself, and
Mhm.
I was leaving a 40-year career, and I thought, now I get to do what do I want? And I realized I hadn't ever really asked myself, what
Correct.
do I really want?
Correct.
And I just kept asking, and then why? Why do I want that? Why do I
Mhm.
want, till I got to the core, and I recognized I had lived a life that I hadn't asked myself
Correct.
in a
Mhm.
deep way, right? In a
Yes.
real way.
Yeah.
I I
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I did what a good wife does, a good mother does,
Mhm.
when and all that too is judgment, because those were the stories around
Yeah.
what I believed and what I was told were
Yeah.
the right things to do,
Yeah.
were what I should do. And
Yeah. And nothing wrong with that.
no, but it
No,
clouded over
it
my
did.
core, what do I want?
Exactly. And our younger generation, my point of view, they don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I honor us women. We get to be those women, it's my point of view, that have done a lot of work for the generations behind that are coming up. Where in the age group that I work with, 50, 60, 70, 70 being like the prime of women right now that I'm working with, like they are creating 60s and 70s lives that they could never imagine. But we
Yeah.
women got through the hard, all that, to now the younger generation, which I used to judge as what's wrong with them. Why aren't they trudging and surviving? And, like I had to do all this work. We did that. That is no longer a collective requirement for them. So, yay for all of us who,
Yes, for
like
that
you said,
legacy.
left a career. We've all left these huge careers that we have that were, for me, probably you too, very male dominated. We did that, and so that's a applause to acknowledgement to all of us women who have done that, and now it's a place of choice, possibilities, and yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. When I see my granddaughters do amazing things without thinking about it, like my
Right.
15-year-old granddaughter, she gets up there, she goes, I think I'm going to try out for a play. I'm like,
Yeah.
have you ever done that before? No. When's the tryout? Tomorrow. So,
Mhm.
like, no time to learn or to practice. And you know what? She just gets up there and does it. And I have tears coming down watching, because I think I could have never, ever.
Mhm.
I probably would have gotten sick, backstage from nerves. And
Yeah.
she just like, well, why can't I? And I thought, that's a very good question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, our generation, our age created a new space. Our parents created a new space, and that's evolution in its way, but meaningful. So yeah, meaningful. What's meaningful is to have conversations like this for me today.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that
Something I never imagined, just to be able to be that space for the collective conscious woman who's like, now what? What's
yeah.
available for me next?
Me
What
too,
can I?
Lynnae. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, even 10 years ago, if someone would have said, not only are you have the courage to speak about it, you're going to do it on a platform and reach lots of people wherever,
Yeah.
worldwide. And someone's going to need to hear that.
I'm glad that it does take us courage to be willing to follow through on that. And so that's a shout out to all of the women out there who are sitting on something, and you're just like, and I just, that whatever you're sitting on, the little something that feels off,
Yes.
That's the off I'm talking about. How we started it, kind of my little like working with women who feel like something's off. That off is the insides saying something has to change. I have to show up different. I have to be different than what I've been doing.
We didn't know what we were going to talk, because I will tell you, full disclosure, I say I want to talk about meaningful life, but we have no agenda, right? I know
No.
from my guest, and I love it that way. And this next week, I'm speaking on a stage about the power of being present. And I'm really telling the story of a crazy Monday morning, and I'm sitting in traffic thinking, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this. And what happened that day that taught me that being present with another, no agenda, no thinking about what we're going to say next, and to be truly present, and the power in that, and what an awakening it was to me as this 30-year-old, recognizing that's the something more I was yearning for.
Yeah. And the something, I said those exact words when I had that last epiphany 15 years ago. There has to be something more.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wrote that down because it's not that something's off.
Right.
It's like, I've done a lot. I have overcome a lot. I have outcreated. I keep making choices. I keep changing. And there still has to be something more. And then that brought us to the original question. Also, when I was talking about ease, like what is the meaning of life is receiving a life that I never imagined was just possible. I have a program that I teach, but there's something called the set aside prayer. Have you ever heard it?
Mm-mm.
Heard of a set aside? It's it's a prayer that we have in 12-step recovery, but it's about setting aside everything that we know.
Oh, yeah.
And I call it my disease. About 20 years ago, I called my disease I knowism. Because see, I know everything. Because I've experienced everything, I've done everything. And that's for all, especially business women. We have done so much. I trained women for 20 years to build businesses. And I had to stay out of the way always that I knew. Younger generation, the younger you're talking about, they don't know. And their journey is their journey. So the I knowism and the step aside prayer, if you want to call it a prayer, it's real short. Can I read it real quick?
Yes.
Okay. And I created it to go along with my program, but it sounds like this. It says, source, whatever that higher power is, help me set aside everything I think I know about who I am, about how I function, about what is possible for me, and about what I believe keeps me safe. Help me soften the conclusions, the projections, and expectations my nervous system has formed in survival. Help me release the identity that was built to cope, achieve, perform, and protect, so that may experience myself with ease, regulation, clear, and alignment. Show me the truth of who I am beyond my old patterns, beyond reactivity, beyond the drive, beyond the suffering, and help me show up and respond from choice and like steadiness, and let me become the aligned woman I'm truly meant to be. And I think that speaks to all of us in our age group, is that set aside prayer.
Yes.
Our mantra, wording, whatever it is, like everything that I knew got me to here. I actually have to release and clear and let go of all of what I know and start becoming this, like, what else? Space. Yeah.
And so that circles around then to being able to recognize what we think we already know, right? The assumptions that are just natural to us, that are just stuck to us. That's our identity.
And that's the big word. It has been in the culture of coaching as an identity shift, and we'll call it what it is. And nothing's ever new. It's just got different words. So that again is the set aside prayer. Like none of that, 95% of where I have been living unconsciously, if I choose to be conscious, what does that for me? Who am I going to show up?
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't be here myself without having had a lot of work along the sides. I didn't get to 36 years clean and sober, eating disorder, any of this without somebody along the side, even as a coach right now, always having a coach to take me to that next, what's next
Yeah,
possibility.
because I think is truly an injustice to think, oh, I'm going to just read this or I'm just going to journal that. And then I'm going to have all that judgment aside and my life will go forward with ease.
Right.
It's an evolution, that's,
yeah,
that would be a false assumption to think that it would be just like that. It's an evolution, and
it
that's
is. Yeah.
part of our life's evolution as we come along. And I think too, why we're talking about this generation, I'm 67, so I can talk about that too. And that those of us who felt like maybe all those years we didn't have the I don't even want to say courage, that kind of gives this judgment piece, but where it didn't feel like our voice mattered or would be heard. And so we just didn't speak up. Now at this point to say, I'm delighted to have a voice, and it takes great courage to speak up because of layering of years of not, and yes, and creating that legacy for future generations. And so much of that is wrapped up in, and when I heard you talk about judgment and things too, and receiving, the art of receiving from others and from the universe, and from nature.
All of it.
So much of that, I think, is wrapped up around worthiness, which can be a whole other day talking, but
it's there. Yeah. So,
but worthiness, for me, that was a big part of it. And when I started investigating worthiness and going, oh, I have a lot of false assumptions wrapped around that. Like, well, why would I think this would be good for this person to be able to do? But I judged myself and go, oh no, not for you. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's
so special. No.
Exactly. Yeah. And just becoming more aware. Yeah. That's what I teach for my clients, and I live for myself. Is I have what I call my 4 pillars. My 4 A's is like, are we willing to live in awareness? And there's about 98% of the population that doesn't want to be in awareness. And that's okay. But I want to talk and hang out with the girlfriends that want to at least step into, like, what is awareness for me? And then when we start to become aware, an allowance of what we're aware of, because our pattern is to go into judgment, projection. So it's one of my 4 A's. So it's like, if I'm going to become aware, this is what I've been doing. Now I have to learn how to be an allowance of it. That's a learned thing.
That's receiving too. Right?
It's receiving. Yes. It's another layer of receiving. It's not acceptance. I grew up in, 12 steps, and it was about accept. Accept we have to do at certain times, but accepting where I'm coming from is struggle and hard and survival. It's a different energy. Like, I'm going to accept this. No, I'm going to have allowance for what I'm being with it.
Almost like surrender.
It's even different. It's like the energy of, like, just even try it on. It's like acceptance feels like, surrender kind of has like everybody feels different with it, but everything I do is body works, like surrender, but allowance. Even when I say it, allowance is an energy with no judgment.
And a choice.
Yeah. And we've never really been introduced to that. And with allowance, there isn't a right or wrong or good or bad.
Yeah. Wow.
And then the 3rd A is asking questions that don't come from a place of conclusion.
Yes.
We were taught how to go, this is my question, and now I have the answer so that I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So I teach open questions that don't have an answer. So the 4th A is the aligned action. And sometimes the aligned action is just hanging out. Like, I don't have an answer.
And being okay with that.
And just, it's being the space of it. And it's like, but I'm here and I'm going to set aside all that I think and I know for this new space of what I call possibility. It's consciousness. It's like, I don't have an answer, but I'm going to hang out and it will show up, sometimes quickly and sometimes down the road, but I'm willing to be that today and not the struggle to survival.
So juicy. I mean, that to think about all that, and the steps, I imagine, kind of are fluid also, right? Depending on what's going on and what we're thinking about, and so much curiosity. You've got to be really curious about yourself too and ask those questions.
I didn't even know that that word existed until I started coaching full-time 7 years ago. Like, I learned it from my coach. And she says, well, why don't you be curious? I'm like, well, I can't. I just have to know. There was no, that's that judgment, like just who I be. It's how I came into the world. But it was like curiosity was something I never had space to be, and so I became curious. And then now I can be that space for clients. But I love that you said that, because I never even knew that word existed. There was no space for curiosity. There was do it, get it done. And no one made me that way particularly.
Right.
It just all is what it is. But now I'm curious.
Yeah.
That's ease.
Yeah. And for me, being that quiet person, child and then adult, right? Quiet, I paid attention and I learned to read rooms and read people. But where, some would say, well, you're just watching everything, or some would say nosy or what have you. I'm like, I'm just curious. I'm watching like judgment free. I'm taking it, not judgment free.
It will be. It does.
Curious, right? And thinking, what, and then what, and what if, what is that? And I think that's, you said how you love to create, and I'm sure when you became more curious, your creativity just exploded because,
it does. And it continues. But yes, but what a path of breaking those walls down. Yeah. So thank you for introducing that word to people's lives, because women, curiosity. Yeah. So, and it's an energy, it's a space. And as an energy,
if you ask a question and you may not like the answer you get, and so sometimes we don't ask.
Well, and that's but and there's an art to that, the art of asking, where it's not that we won't get something that we don't like, because that's not the space of actually open for a real question, because a real question for you will only align to something greater for you. It's the only way it really works. But then if that old thinking right there is an old pattern, like if I ask and I'm not inside, that's old. It's old beliefs. And exactly.
So those of you who are afraid of being curious,
I love that.
Don't worry. It's, and it goes back to the ease of receiving. Because when you're curious, you will receive information. It's, I don't know if you yourself, you've ever entered a room and just taken a look around, and
I perceive it and I see it, and I'm watching all the energy and everybody, that I have that ability to really perceive and read energy. So that's part of learning how to just be in this body as a sensitive, like a lot of us are, and not take it on. I probably teach most of my clients who are empaths, healers, sensitives, whatever. They all have all these titles now for us. They didn't have titles for us, HSPs or whatever, to not take on everybody's stuff. If it's past your nose, it's none of your business. And that's probably, that's a whole nother class we can talk about. But that is, it's
easy to be a sponge, and take it on, and then that helper role, which is
it's a whole, but we can get out of the whole thing once we realize and do that unprogramming work and realization of conscious, like, wait a minute, I'm in this role from the past. That is not who I'm choosing to be, and someone show me how to get out of that. So anyway, yeah.
Do you feel then in people that you work with that as you start to unravel and all the things we've been talking about, like step by step, it starts to unravel quicker and quicker, some main things, and then that opens the doors for other things, just like our conversation. We're like,
Oh yeah.
it comes back to that, and pretty soon it's like, I see this whole piece of it. It's
Not linear. What I do and how I live is not linear. So it is not linear. So you'll either get me or you won't. And I've had to learn to be okay with that. The work that I do for myself after years of therapy, because we need that. But then the work I do now with clients is because I'm working in an energetic space.
Yeah.
We don't go into the feelings of it. We go to the energy of all of this uncovering and discovering and discarding, and then stepping into this next version of us without having to go through all the crap again.
Okay, so explain this for those that so that can be complicated, like what? Because we're more feeling,
yes,
most of us are more feeling oriented than energy, and I'm going to honor that. Just is like, what does that mean exactly?
Right. Okay.
I do think it's important and worthy of just unbuckling a little bit, energetically speaking. What do you mean by that?
Okay. Bring me back to the question again.
Yeah, so in talking, and you said we're not talking about feelings, we're talking about energy.
And I have been doing energy work for 36 years. I'm a retired massage therapist. I'm a body healer worker, and I brought that in. So I do forget that what I'm speaking, but I'm so grateful for the way that the world and consciousness has changed, because we can now talk about this out loud. And we can, because it's real and it's scientific, and everybody quantum physics, and we always knew it. Nothing's new, but we're all energy. Everything is energy.
Yep.
We are energetic sponges. Some of us more than others. Okay. You're a little sponge. I'm a little sponge. And we come into the world with little people, and some of us suck up a lot. Okay. And then we walk around our world with everybody else's information until we start to get older and older or whatever, and life happens, crises happen, and you go up and then what was the question again? So I could bring back to,
you say, as you're working with your clients.
Oh, the thoughts and the feelings. Okay. Yeah. So we're walking around. I have a statement. God, I just said yesterday. Hold on, let me bring, there's so much information in this. My question, if I was to work with somebody, is which I've done with myself, are those feelings mine? Okay, that's a whole new world. It's like, okay, wait a minute. If I'm talking to a conscious, accomplished woman, it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't know. I think they're mine, but they're not mine. And then when we start to dissect that from an energetic place, all the places I took these parts and pieces, because remember, 95% of my thoughts don't belong to me. They're just brought in. We bring them. It's society. It's everything. And go, well, wait a minute. And because the facilitator that I do, I work on an energetic level. So I'm able to help you move the energy very fast. We don't have to go into the body, which holds the feelings. Energy just moves.
Yeah. And it's all around us.
Does that make sense?
I think so. In explaining energy, like my realization around energy was even looking at a heartbeat tracing as a nurse, right? And then studying energy. I'm like, that's electrical. And we have energy all around us, which we feel, we sense the energy around us. We can walk into a room and go,
Not everybody can.
Yeah.
But a chunk of us can. And those, yes. So keep going.
So the energy is around us, and you're talking about taking that energetically, the parts that are there. But almost that's not a judgment piece, right? That's because they're Oh, see,
It's an,
it's
yeah. So let's bring it back to just because we did open up this conversation, just opened up to like another, like, woo.
yeah.
And if we were to be in awareness that everything is energy, everything is energy. That's scientific. It's quantum physics. Okay. If I'm this energetic human being and everything is communicating with me,
Right.
me being sensitive, you being sensitive, we incorporate that into our bodies and believe it's ours. So we're going to different, this is more of like body work. And so all of a sudden we realize I have pain, I'm in struggle, I'm in survival, and it's holy crap, none of it's even mine.
Ah,
Now, someone who doesn't cross, we're just all different. But for that, then when I do work with clients, we're not going into like, where is that? I never coached from what's the problem ever. The question always opens up with, if you were to get anything from this, what would that be?
I see.
Not the problem, because problem is the problem. And in the problem, we stay stuck, mucky. And we need to go there in certain times of our lives. Absolutely spent years in that. But now it's energy, and because energy moves quantumly fast,
Right.
we can extrapolate that. I can and teach you how to, like, it's like, oh my gosh, that was just an energy. It literally is his presence of like, like the wind blowing. The wind is consciousness, it's energy. And it's like, it just it can just blow out that fast.
Lynnae, that is such a hopeful segment right there, because in looking at it, not getting stuck in the problem, but looking
Yes.
to who I want to be, who I know I am, but I'm not
I don't know how to
embodying that
get
yet.
there.
I don't know how to
Something's
get.
off and I don't know how to get there. Would be the thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something more, and I know I have it in me, but right now I'm stuck in the mud, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But to hear that it's a matter of energy, and energy moves fast and changes quickly and is multiple, right? Because
Yeah.
inertia and all the laws of nature come into
All of that. Yep.
but yes, and was hope. That was hope, is to say, okay, so it can be a shift. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I hear just one thing and it's like, it rocks my world.
Yeah. And that's an energy shift. It's like what it was isn't and moved. And now I'm in a new space.
That's just energy. That's what we're talking about.
And the world now has, in the whole healing world and coaching, you hear a lot about nervous system.
Yeah.
I've been doing, part of my whole journey has been nervous system, but now we have words for it. Everything I talk about now has words. 30 years ago, we didn't have words for things, but now it's like,
yeah.
So it made hard what I was doing and being to be out there, but now we understand the nervous system. We now have words for that. So the input of life, all the thoughts, the feelings, emotions, whatever that was, is the output of who we're showing up as.
Right.
So if we clear and move the energy of who we're being, we start to work on that nervous system programming and start to have tools for our sensitivity and our awareness, and then how to live and become that next version. Those are the 4 steps as the whole being than we ever did before.
Right.
And God's involved in all of that. I mean, that's all part of never to exclude that power. So this is, some people like, it's all part of that, incorporated into that, to the invitation that I want women to all be in. It's what is that next? I use the word align because that's my program, align version that I want to be.
Right. And
Question.
even that is like, what? That's a big curiosity. Like, what could that be? What could that look like for me? And what a glorious question, because
absolutely
start putting that out there. And I even find in cases like this, when I have talked as a group with people, right? We're just sitting around a table, like after a meeting or something. Sometimes we gather at the bar and we're sitting there talking, that's when that energetic connection with
Yeah.
like-minded or like-hearted and even those who aren't quite right, they have such
Hmm.
valuable input. Like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. But that connection and the input people have, they're like, no, I see you totally as yada yada yada. It's like,
Hmm.
really?
Yeah.
That's often
Yeah.
better than I saw it.
Well, the people always see us differently than we see ourselves because ours has a big layer of judgment over it.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And we can't see our own eyebrows. We don't see we're not seeing ourselves. We only know how it is from this
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh my
But I
gosh.
want women,
So,
but I want women to see themselves as they are.
mm-hmm.
That's the ultimate, like,
Yeah.
at first we're like, what am I showing? Who is this person? To really the clarity of who I show up as today.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get that today, but it takes a lot of work too.
It does, but isn't that what you began with when you talk about a meaningful life? You use
Totally.
of
Totally.
ease of getting there and of receiving that.
Yeah. Oh, and you never know with me, especially because like you said, there's so many branches to all of it, but it is. And the question to frame it, just like you said, what's the question that you open this up with?
What does a
What does,
meaningful life? What is that like? What does that mean to you right now?
yeah. And so that when I read that, it was a question. Remember, awareness, allowance, asking an aligned question, and being, what does a meaningful life mean to me?
Mhm.
Question mark. And allowing it to show up and going, wow, what is that for me? And if I'm so aware of something, what am I going to choose? How am I going to choose? Who's going to take me to what that meaningful life is? And I
Right.
am so living in my meaningful life today. I mean, beyond. And I'm open and welcoming what else is next after this.
That's
What's next? What's
fantastic.
next month? Who's it going
Yeah,
to be next month?
that's
So,
fantastic. And I'm not sure if we were recording yet when I was talking about our vision. And for me, that was a big curiosity thing, our vision of what our moonshot vision for our life
mm,
when we're not here even and people look back and to for me that was fostering a movement where meaning and curiosity and creativity are seen as essential to mankind,
yeah, yeah,
versus optional. And that has guided. So those of you listening are like, well, what do I want?
right.
Like, what would you like to see? And, and then my thought was, well, okay, I'm going to sit with that because where's my place in that? I can be a part of that in so many ways. The
Mhm.
podcast spoke to me, and
Yeah,
because that was a huge challenge for me to speak up.
yeah, yeah. You are it. You are literally in the creation of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I like to say, we create, and manifestation is how it shows up. We get confused on that manifestation, and we think it's what we're doing. Manifestation is how God and the universe puts it wherever it comes from. And then the actualization is like you actualized your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You created it, you became the energy of it, felt it, you did the work. And then manifestation is like it showed up, but
Mm-hmm.
you did all this. And
Yeah.
then actualizing, and here you sit with other women on your platform so that,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
what
on
I
your
want to do is just be a voice for consciousness for women. That's,
with that.
yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with us. We are not broken. We did not do anything wrong. Some of us are just sensitive. And now, how do we use that superpower? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in this next season of our lives.
Yeah. I love that. Then that self-compassion and going, oh no, I love myself. This is how I am. And
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, yeah, and you know what did not get included in that, and what other people think about me living my true life.
yeah. And
Yeah.
there's so much freedom in the work, in this work.
Mhm.
True
Well,
freedom.
Lynnae,
Okay.
you are an inspiration, and I know some of what we talked about got a little bit advanced, and depending on where you're at, right? And but
Right.
I want to just, if you're listening and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, what did they just say? I want to bring this back because
Yes, please.
all this for me has, and you mentioned it too, time wise, for me has been a relatively short time of my life. So 5 or 6 years. I mean, it all slowly, I was introduced, I studied and I learned, but it didn't really become a part of, and that was like energy fast. It was like, it clicked with me.
Got it.
So things will
Mm-hmm.
click, and it's all part of that journey
Yeah,
because it really truly, we're all on a journey, and next year we might talk again and it will be completely different on like
it will
where we're
be.
at, because that's part of the journey.
It
And
will be. Yes,
to
yes.
talk with me in my 40s, that's a lot different than right now. And I think that's the hope and the excitement piece of it is
Ah,
you're right where you need to be,
yeah.
wherever you
And
are.
don't do it alone. I know it takes courage to reach out to somebody and say, I want to go on this journey
Yes,
of change. And this is community work.
it is.
It really is,
Thank
whatever
you for
that
saying
looks
that,
like.
Lynnae. It really
Yeah.
is. It is. And with that being said, as we close, we're going to have all of your links, how to reach out to Lynnae and contact and read about and study all kinds of wonderful things. And I attended one of your workshops and I missed it that day. We had a family emergency, but I listened to the recording. And as much as I regret not having the group energy, I got so much out of it and loved it. And so I
Right.
totally
Thank you.
encourage you all take a look and reach out because this is, can you tell we're having a blast? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening and comments. And please subscribe. And we're not done. We will have this conversation again, no doubt. And but in the meantime, I look forward to what you have to say, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye bye.